back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
I love you, Mike. See you soon, boy. Yoel Romero is coming out and reacting to Michael Bisping's second loss in 3 weeks. Holy smokes, and I expected it to be a little harsher than this, but Yoel Romero's taking the high road. I expected him to say, oh yeah, there's no way this motherfucker's gonna fight me in March. You guys know it. He just got dropped twice in 3 weeks. Let's go. You know, I expected Yoel Romero to kick Michael Bisping while he's down. And if you're asking why, oh God, you're just an asshole, that's because you don't know the backstory here. Michael Bisping ripped up the Cuban flag while Yoel Romero was fighting, threw it at his ass. Yoel Romero went on to lose that fight. Michael Bisping and Yoel Romero have been on a collision course for quite some time now, and for some reason, some people accuse Michael Bisping. Some people say it's just how it is. It just is what it is. You know, the stars haven't aligned to themselves, as Demetrius Johnson might say. You know, the stars have to align themselves for this fight to happen. But Yoel Romero has wanted this fight for a long time now. Michael Bisping's been the champion, so it just hasn't made logistical sense for him. No, so we haven't seen this fight. We know Michael Bisping's only got one fight left in his career. A lot of us want to see Michael Bisping versus Yoel Romero, but that's because a lot of us are not Michael Bisping's family or his team. You know what I'm saying? After Michael Bisping's last 3 weeks, I mean, he's got dropped twice, choked out once by 2 former welterweights. I mean, it's just been bad news for Michael Bisping, you know what I'm saying? And respect to him for taking that second fight, which he shouldn't have had to. But one of the things that's just on my mind, which I can't wait for like the fucking MMA shows to come on and shit, because I hope they talk about this. I'm just curious, does this affect GSP or Michael Bisping's legacy? And I'm talking about the Kelvin Gastelum loss. I'm not going to spend too much time on that on this video, but that's the second former welterweight that Michael Bisping just got finished by in 2 weeks. And a lot of people already question the legitimacy of Bisping's title reign, because he got the title fight on short notice because somebody else dropped out, so he wasn't even supposed to fight for the title. He was a huge underdog, shocked the world, left hook Larry, beat Luke Rockhold, but after that, after he, you know, upset the champion, he never defended against a serious middleweight contender. Nobody in the top 5. He fought Dan Henderson, who was ranked 12 or 13. After that, he fought GSP, who wasn't ranked at middleweight. And after that, he just fought Kelvin Gastelum, former welterweight that's been fighting at middleweight due to weight cutting issues. But I still don't believe he was in the top 5. He might have been ranked 5 or ranked 6th at middleweight, but Kelvin Gastelum was still former welterweight, not inside the top 5 of middleweight. So Michael Bisping, people, you know, question the legitimacy of his title run, and it doesn't help with these 2 losses. Now, with GSP, he came back, and some people argue, oh, this cemented GSP's legacy as the GOAT because he beat Michael Bisping. And it's like, well, you know, because he moved up a weight class, not because he just beat Michael Bisping, but this cements GSP's legacy because he got the second belt in a second weight class, as compared to Demetrius Johnson, who, you know, he's only did it at 1 weight class. So that's why GSP's better than DJ. And I've got to, you know, just point out the fact that GSP didn't just move up and beat one of the top middleweights in the world. He didn't beat one of the top 5 middleweights in the world. You can't, you know, just with these 2 losses, Michael Bisping's already dropped out of the top 5 of the middleweight division. So it's easy to argue Michael Bisping if you're talking about legitimate rankings. If you're not talking about the champion belt, he's not one of the best 5 middleweights in the world, and that's who GSP just beat for the title. Now, Demetrius Johnson, if he were to go up and fight Cody Garbrandt or TJ Dillashaw, he would be fighting one of the best bantamweights in the world. It's a different story as to where if John Dodson, like the number 10th or 11th ranked bantamweight, won the belt, knocked out TJ Dillashaw again and won the belt, and then Demetrius was like, okay, now I'll go up and take the belt from Dodson. I have a feeling a lot of people would have a problem with that, so you can't really give GSP the same credit if you wouldn't give Demetrius Johnson that credit for beating John Dodson. I know I've said that before in a longer video, but some of you guys might not have heard that point. And since this is Yoel Romero versus Michael Bisping, what better to talk about since Yoel Romero ain't gonna motherfucking make this video interesting. Now, he just had nice words to say for Michael Bisping, which was a little surprising. But since Yoel Romero might not be able to get his hands on Michael Bisping, maybe Michael Bisping will fight Jorge Masvidal. I mean, I think he'd take that fight. Jorge Masvidal used to fight at lightweight. Maybe we can take one step down. I mean, Michael Bisping's losing to these, you know, prime former welterweights. Maybe he can handle a former lightweight. No, I'm just fucking around, man. I fuck with Michael Bisping. But with that being said, here's what Yoel Romero had to say following Michael Bisping's second stoppage loss in 3 weeks. He said, you know what I think is crazy? He just came back after just a couple of weeks. He got hurt really badly in that fight with St. Pierre and ended up being put to sleep. Normally, the commission and doctors won't allow a fighter to come back so soon after a fight like that. He came back after 3 weeks. That's just crazy, I think. Bisping's team should have told him not to take that fight. For the sake of his family, he should have been thinking about his family. His team should have told him not to fight and pointed out his family. The question really is, why did his team allow him to fight? They should have said no. It's my humble opinion that he should have not come back so fast. Damn. So Yoel Romero's placing the blame mainly on Michael Bisping's team, saying, hey, you know, question their motives. Why would they let him fight if they care about him? If they care about his family? Why would they want his family to see him fight, knowing what's likely to happen with just being concussed in his last fight? And as Brendan Schaub alluded to, the second concussion comes quicker than the first. So, I mean, a lot of people saw this Kelvin Gastelum knockout happening first round. I mean, if you picked that, it wasn't a shocker. We just seen Michael Bisping getting dropped. And do you know how many fucking people have came out and agreed with Brendan Schaub that there's something wrong, that the commission allowed Michael Bisping to fight? And I don't know if it's just like a Shanghai commission over there or what's going on, but yeah, now if it's in Shanghai, you gotta realize, if it's a Shanghai commission, that's not shocking at all. I mean, over there, don't they have like Gabby Garcia versus like 52-year-olds and shit? So of course they would let Michael Bisping fight fucking former middleweight champion twice in 3 weeks. Of course they would in Shanghai. But then you have to ask, does the UFC not have a say? Now I understand the commission talk, but does the UFC not have a say? Or Michael Bisping's team, as Yoel Romero's pointing to? But what about the UFC? I mean, this is going to be something Mark Hunt looks at, like, oh yeah, or Randy Couture and them. You know, they were just talking about how the judge was blasting one of the UFC executives, like, how are you going to tell me that rankings matter and GSP's fighting for a title? Now they can say, how are you going to tell me that you guys are concerned about fighter safety and you let Michael Bisping fight 2 weeks after he got dropped and choked out? You know, this is not a good look for the UFC. Let alone, you know, so it's not even just all on the commission. Like, I mean, I guess Michael Bisping had to have cleared his fucking medicals. I'm sure he must have cleared his medicals. That's why the UFC let him fight. But maybe that's something about the medicals. Like, what medicals are you doing if the medicals you're you know, I'm just talking out of my ass. I'm just a fan thinking. But I mean, we've heard a lot of the people, the media, the people in the business that are saying that no commission in the world would have allowed Bisping to fight 3 weeks after being knocked out. So with that being said, if Bisping did clear the medicals, what are the medicals testing? I mean, they're not testing. I don't know. Are they not testing concussion symptoms? I'm not sure, because you have to assume that Michael Bisping maybe had some after getting dropped and choked out. I don't know. Maybe not. But with that being said, it is what it is, man. Yoel Romero's responded, and he's pretty much putting Michael Bisping's team at fault here. Like, why'd you guys let him fight knowing he just got dropped? And the only reason I could think of, you know, whenever Yoel Romero said this, I was like, damn, is it because the money? You know, because coaches and teams, they make a percentage of these fighters' purses. So even though it's kind of cynical and you don't really want to think about the coach's motivations ever being financial, but whenever you have a fighter that's at the, you know, peak of his fighting career, making the most money ever, you've got to hope that the coaches aren't like, hey man, maybe you should take one more fight. You know, I can get an extra 10%, you can get an extra 90% before you're out of here. You just got to hope that's not the case. But Yoel Romero is blaming the team, saying that they should have told him not to take the fight for his sake and for his family's sake. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you 10 men in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.